Hi and welcome to Stitch Doodles. This isn't a full tutorial as such, rather it's intended to complement the live workshops that I do, and this one especially for those of you who took part in the early workshops where the visibility wasn't quite as good. So I'm going to walk you through 5 of the different techniques that I taught in those sessions, the first one being couching. So couching is a really fun and versatile technique, and it's great for exploring different weights of line. You can use any type of thread to couch onto your fabric, and as you can see here, the thread that's being couched lays on top of your fabric, and then you use another thread to wrap around and stitch it to the surface. And there's loads of things that you could do to vary this thread. So you can choose different thicknesses, both in the couching thread and the thread that you are stitching it down with. You can choose to contrast your colours. You can put your stitches closer together, further apart. Have a play with it. It's a really nice one to do. I really like to use non-traditional materials in my couching. So here, for example, I've used quite a thick twine. You can use the salvaged edge of fabric, for example, and kind of twist that, and as you twist it, all the frayed edges stick out and create a kind of fluffy line. So yeah, experiment with different materials. So what I've done here is I've drawn on my line with a removable pen, and that's serving as a guide for me to place my couched line on top. And then you can see I'm wrapping around the couching threads, and I'm trying to take my needle in and out roughly the sort of same place along that line. Just gotten a little bit of a tangle here, but that's no worries, I can thread that back through. And every so often just kind of straightening the thread and pulling the fabric to make sure the tension's nice and even and it's not gathering up anywhere. So here you can see again just struggling with that thread a bit, but going back in on that line, and then as the thread pulls around it fastens it down. You can see from the back it's quite neat, it's just almost like a running stitch from the back. And then all I need to do now to secure it is to take the wrong end of the needle through that last stitch and under the loop. Do that a couple of times so that's nice and secure, and then cut it off. So this line sits quite nicely around that appliqué triangle, and then sort of waving in and out, forming the same shape as that stitched texture you can see. So next I'm going to finish off another area of needle turn appliqué. So this was started during the workshop session. I've just used a pin here to keep the fabric in place, but you can base that down, especially if you're using a larger shape. The fabric I'm using is a nice offcut of, I think it's called a Madras check, and it's a really finely woven cotton, which is great because it doesn't fray too much, which is helpful with needle turn appliqué. So I'm just coming up to a corner here. So I'm taking my needle right into that corner and then wrapping that round. It's important to keep the tension quite tight so that the stitch holds that folded edge in place. Next I'm folding at a 45-degree angle so I can get a nice sharp corner, using my nail to kind of push that down. And next I'm just going to sort of fumble and fuss with the fabric so that I can get that corner looking as sharp as possible without kind of distorting that top shape, because the fabric will want to kind of wave and it won't necessarily go where you want it to. I have pre-folded a seam allowance around the shape, so that does help it to kind of sit a bit more evenly. I'm just using my needle now to poke in any little threads that are trying to stick out, I've also lined up the rectangular edge with the grain of the fabric, so that's another helpful guideline to make sure that the shape is staying true to how I want it. So lining that up with the grain helps me to make sure those lines are nice and straight. So I do have another YouTube guide on needle turn applique where I cover three shapes, so a square, a circle and a heart, which then covers points and sort of inner points as well. I will link that tutorial here if you'd like a little bit more guidance on your needle turn applique. It can be quite tricky, but you know, once you get the hang of it, it's such a lovely technique to use. On here on my Stitch Doodle piece, it's really nice to have a contrast between really solid shapes made out with fabric, and then compared to some of the more open or textured kind of stitch areas. I'm always looking for ways of contrasting and different ways of exploring the formal elements. So how can I you know, depict a circle in lots of different ways, or a square in lots of different ways? How can I change the weight and the quality of my line? What kind of textures can I create with my thread? So that's mostly what I'm doing here. And I'm not concerned too much with technical accuracy. It's more important for me. This is a doodle, so it's meant to be unpressured. That's my whole approach to this piece. Just a way for me to get moving and to just start a project without having to think too deeply about what it means. So I'm just going to stitch down this short edge, and then it will come up to another corner. So I'm just kind of, again, just fussing and trying to line up the applique shape with the background, while also tucking in and poking in any kind of frayed edges. I tend to put my stitches quite close together when I get to a corner, just to really hold those parts down. And then this is the final corner to contend with. So again, just taking a bit of time to get that nice and flat. Using the needle to poke the loose ends in, and also to kind of help that fold become nice and sharp, and tuck in the seam. I do apologise for the state of my nails here. They're very grown out. I used to kind of make sure my nails look really beautiful for all of my film tutorials. Then I started learning guitar and chopping the nails on my left hand down as short as possible. And yeah, now I've just let it all grow out. So maybe for my next video I'll have some shiny new colourful nails for you. But anyway, you don't need to hear me rambling about that. You are more interested in needle turn. Okay, so turning my fabric around, we've got that last little bit to deal with. Sometimes the last corner can be the most complicated one. So yeah, like I say, take your time. A square is a good shape to begin with. I'd definitely say straight lines are easier to manage than curves. And at least your corners are 90-degree corners rather than kind of more sharper points like you might have on a triangle or a star, for example. Okay, a few more stitches to finish that off. And then we're going to flip the work over and then secure at the back. So it is really important that you knot your work, and when you do that you try and keep your knot as close to the fabric as possible, because any slack in those stitches means it's not going to hold that folded edge down, so you run the risk of your seam allowance trying to kind of uncurl and poke back out. There we have it. It might look a little bit puffy. If you've drawn the outline on with a removable pen, I like to just iron that, and that will get rid of that mark. So next up is a running stitch, well, a slight variation on a running stitch. I don't actually know if this stitch has a special name, but what I'm doing is instead of dipping my needle fully through to the back of the cloth and then back up again, I'm just using the tip of the needle to kind of catch a strand of fabric and gathering those stitches up on my needle before pulling it all the way through. So the thread kind of sits on top, and it's almost like you're weaving. It's becoming part of the weave, and you'll see when I flip it over in a moment that the stitches behind are very barely coming through the back. So again, it's a running stitch, but it's just another fun way to kind of play around with your quality of line. I'm using it here to fill an area, so the kind of space between that little couched figure of 8 and then that kind of angular scribble, I'm going to fill all of that area with this textured running stitch. But again, you could use it as a line in its own right. You might want to draw a shape, so for a circle example, for example, and then go back and forth and fill that circle, or maybe go round and round in quite a tight spiral. That looks really nice with this particular stitch. You can also experiment again with the weight of fabric. So this is a pearl cotton number 8 I'm using here, which is yeah, sort of fairly fine, you know, thicker than a standard sort of sewing weight thread, but much finer than you'd like your embroidery floss, for example. But imagine if you were to use something like all 6 strands of embroidery floss. That would be interesting because the thickness of that thread would kind of push the warp or the weft to the side to accommodate it. So yeah, if you like the look of that, then please do experiment. Okay, next up is French knots. I've got sort of 2 different ways of doing these. So this first one is that standard way of doing it. So you need to hold your needle in your dominant hand and then use your left hand to wrap the end of the thread around the tip of the needle. And you can experiment with doing that 2 or 3 times depending on how big you want that little bobble to be. And you need to make sure you're pulling the thread quite tight, so that the knot is nice and solid, but not so tight that you can't slide it down the needle. So I'm doing a few knots and then kind of travelling under the fabric to create that kind of dotty sort of texture. Now this time instead of taking the needle through the fabric, I'm leaving it on top, but sliding the knot down in the same way, then kind of travelling on the top of the fabric, and that gives it a sort of French knot with a bit of a dash. So I think it looks a little bit like if I was to use, make an inky dot on a piece of paper and then suddenly make a dash. It looks a little like that. So for this part of my Stitch Doodle scroll, I will just fill an area, a random area with dots and dashes. Maybe sort of layer them, build them up, maybe introduce a different texture. But French knots are a lovely sort of textured stitch. You can really build up a dense area by putting them very close together. It takes some time, but it looks really beautiful. Looks almost a little bit like needle, what's it called? Needle tufted fabric? Punch needle, that's what I'm trying to say. I sometimes add them to my quilts as well. And the benefit of having 3 layers of a quilt means that you can kind of stitch through the middle of that quilt, so you don't have to have any of your travelling stitches visible on the back. They can go through the centre of the quilt. So sometimes it's a bit tricky, as you see here. I'm struggling a little bit to pull that knot down, but on pearl cotton, especially the finer pearl cotton number 8, it's much easier because it's got a slight satin sheen to it. So yeah, I find it, if you're a beginner, I think this is a lovely thread to use, because unlike embroidery floss, which is 6 separate strands, which can kind of come separate from each other, the pearl cotton is twisted, you can't separate it, and that just makes it so much easier to stitch with, in my opinion. Okay, finally we've got running stitch again. This time I've drawn a slightly sort of irregular shape, and again I'm using the pearl cotton number 8. So it's, you can see lots of examples of running stitch on this piece here. Some with pearl cotton 8, some with 5, some with 3, which is the thickest. That yellow line there is with a pearl cotton 3, and some with embroidery floss as well. So this time I'm just using it in quite a light way to fill this irregular shape. And again, I'm choosing to do it in rows, going back and forth. Every time my needle hits the end of that shape, I'm travelling the stitch underneath, turning my fabric round to change direction, and then gathering those stitches up on my needle. I'm not bothered too much with this stitch about stitch length or leaving the same amount of gaps. The only thing I am trying to do is, as I get to the end of that shape, just making sure that the stitch ends right on that line, otherwise the kind of sharpness of that shape will be lost. My thread ended, I've started again now on the other side, and you can see on this side the shape is dipping in slightly, so I'll show you how I handle that while using the same piece of thread. So if that was a larger shape, I might kind of stop and knot it at the back and then start again, but because it's quite a small area, I can continue that line through the shape, and it just means that the stitches will be slightly longer on the back. So gathering a few up on my needle, making sure the last stitch is lined up, travelling it under, and then bringing the points back up on that line again, and then continuing in the same way to the end of that shape, then going in with the needle on the line, travelling it along and coming back out on the line again, rotating my fabric, and then starting to do another row. This time, because the gap is a little bit bigger, as I travel the needle under, you can see where those red stitches are. I'm just placing my needle through the back of those stitches, and that just kind of gives it a little extra security. It sort of holds it in place, and prevents any long threads kind of getting caught on anything. So that's another trick you can use. So I'm just doing a tiny little stitch to finish off that point, travelling through the back under those red stitches, and then finishing off that shape. And with this one, I started it off and I knotted it on the front, because for this piece of work I want both the front and the back to be visible, so I'm not too precious about hiding my knots, and then I've ended it on the back. And that's that little shape finished. So I hope that's been a helpful insight into some of the stitches I use when I'm trying to work in quite a carefree way. If you haven't already, you'd be very welcome to join me on another Stitch Doodle workshop. They're currently on Friday mornings, depending on where and when you watch this. This is May the 3rd, so I have Friday morning sessions at 9 o'clock BST, but I may also offer some at different times in the future. So do follow along if this has been useful to you, and perhaps let me know in the comments if there's another stitch you would like me to demonstrate, and I would love to see you on a workshop soon. Thank you, goodbye.